The poor eat meat and fish while the wealthy eat vegetables. Dogs and cats wear clothes while humans prefer to show off their flesh. This world is truly bizarre because real goods lose to fakes and honest people lose to thugs. The old are still straining to work while the youth just want to eat and play. Unmarried people live as if they are married, and married people live as if they are unmarried. They race to organize birthdays for pets but are too busy for the birthdays of their parents. They only go home for the holidays, and they only call dad and mom when they run out of money. This observation is not merely a complaint about changing times. It is a forensic analysis of a civilization that has inverted its hierarchy of values. We are living in a mirror world where the markers of status and survival have flipped. Look at the plate of food in a low-income household in the American Midwest. You will not see scarcity. You will see an abundance of animal protein. You will see boxes of breaded chicken tenders, frozen burger patties, and processed fish sticks coated in heavy batter. These are the cheapest calories available in the modern industrial food system. The market has optimized the production of meat to the point where it is more affordable than fresh produce. The poor consume the simulation of a feast. They eat the byproducts of factory farming, pumped full of hormones and fillers, believing they are feeding themselves well because historically, meat was the food of kings. Contrast this with the dinner table of a technology executive in Silicon Valley or a hedge fund manager in New York. You will see leaves, you will see raw roots, you will see small bowls of quinoa and kale that taste like earth. The wealthy pay a premium to eat like the peasants of the 14th century. They pay extra for the privilege of restriction. In this inverted reality, wealth is defined by the ability to say no to the industrial machine. It costs a fortune to opt out of the system that poisons the masses. The poor man dies of heart disease and diabetes from eating too much of what the king used to desire. The rich man hires a nutrition coach to help him fast and consume nothing but water and plants. We have engineered a society where the natural state of things is a luxury product. The poor eat the simulation of abundance and it kills them. The rich eat the simulation of scarcity and it keeps them alive. It is a cruel joke played on the biological cravings of the human animal. We crave fat and salt because our ancestors were starving, so the market gave us unlimited fat and salt for $1. Now, succumbing to your survival instincts is a sign of lower status, while resisting them is the ultimate display of power. This inversion of values does not stop at the dinner table because it has infected the way we view our own bodies and the bodies of the creatures we own. Walk down a busy street in a metropolitan area and observe the dogs. You will see a French bulldog wearing a designer sweater made of cashmere. You will see a poodle in a raincoat and booties to protect its paws from the wet pavement. We have humanized the animal to a degree that borders on psychosis. We project our own need for comfort and status onto beasts that evolved to sleep in the dirt and hunt in the rain. We treat them like children who need to be shielded from the elements, swaddled in fabrics, and paraded around as extensions of our own ego. We accord the dog the dignity of a wardrobe and the protection of layers. Now look at the humans walking the same street. Specifically, look at the young humans. While the dog is covered from neck to tail in high-quality wool, the human owner is often engaged in a race to the bottom of modesty. We live in an era where the human body is treated as public property, a billboard for attention. The clothing gets smaller and tighter and more revealing, not for the sake of comfort, but for the sake of the marketplace. The human exposes the flesh to gain validation and digital currency while covering the animal to prove they have disposable income. It is a bizarre spectacle. The animal, which has no concept of shame or modesty, is forced into clothes. The human who allegedly possesses dignity and self-awareness strips down. We protect the body of the dog more than we protect our own mystery. A dog in a stroller wearing a vest is a symbol of a society that has transferred its nurturing instincts away from its own kind and onto a subservient species, while simultaneously commodifying the human form until it is just another piece of content to be consumed by strangers on the internet. This visual absurdity is just the surface layer of a deeper rot that involves the very nature of truth and falsehood. We are living in the golden age of the counterfeit. If you look at the economy of attention and the economy of goods, you realize that the fake is consistently defeating the real. In the world of commerce, the knockoff handbag looks better than the original and costs a fraction of the price. The synthetic diamond is flawless, while the real one has imperfections. But this preference for the artificial goes beyond objects. It has consumed the human character. The honest man is at a distinct disadvantage in the modern marketplace. If you are truthful about your flaws or your limitations, the system punishes you. You are seen as negative or low value. The winner is the person who can construct the most convincing facade. The scammers who rent exotic cars for photo shoots, and the people who sell courses on how to get rich without doing any work are the ones we reward. The real person who wakes up and goes to a job and pays taxes and struggles with mediocrity is invisible. We have created a reward structure where deception is the most profitable skill a person can learn. The man who lies about his resume gets the job. The influencer who filters her face gets the sponsorship. The company that lies about its pollution record gets the investment. We claim to value authenticity, but we vote with our dollars and our attention for the simulation. We prefer the comfortable lie to the boring truth. The world described in the opening text is one where reality is a liability. If you are genuine, you are vulnerable. If you are fake, you are armored. The thug wins because he understands that the audience does not want reality. They want a show. They want the feeling of success without the messy mechanics of earning it. And who is left holding the burden in this carnival of illusions? It is the old. The text mentions the elderly who are still trying and still exerting themselves, while the young only want to play. This is perhaps the most economically terrifying shift of the last 50 years. In a sane society, the young are the engine of labor. They have the backs and the energy and the hunger to build the world. The old, having served their time, move into mentorship or rest. We have flipped this dynamic. Walk into a hardware store or a grocery store or look at the drivers of delivery trucks. You will see gray hair. You will see stooped shoulders. You will see people in their 60s and 70s working shifts that would exhaust a teenager. They are working because the math of survival did not work out for them, or because inflation destroyed their savings. They are the ones still straining. Contrast this with the cultural narrative surrounding the youth. We have an entire generation being programmed to view labor as an oppression rather than a necessity. The aspiration is not to build a career, but to find a shortcut. To become a streamer, or a crypto trader, or anything that avoids the exchange of sweat for money, the young want to eat and play. They want the lifestyle of the retiree without the 40 years of labor that used to precede it. We have 70-year-olds flipping burgers to supplement their Social Security, while 20-year-olds sit at home complaining that the entry-level job is too demanding for their mental health. The energy dynamic is broken. The people who should be resting are working, and the people who should be working are waiting for a handout or a viral moment. It creates a stagnant civilization. You cannot build a future when the builders are tired and the heirs are lazy. The old retain the work ethic but lack the time. The young have the time, but lack the ethic. This disconnect bleeds directly into the way we form or fail to form relationships. The text speaks of living together as if married when single and living like singles when married. This is the death of the covenant. The trial run has become the permanent state of being. Two young people move in together not to build a family but to save on rent. They merge their lives physically and financially without any vow and without any promise of tomorrow. They play at marriage. They get the benefits of companionship and domesticity without the weight of duty. It feels liberating until it is not, because without the lock on the door, one foot is always outside. You are living as if married, but the shadow of the exit sign is always on the wall. You hold back parts of yourself. You do not fully invest because this might just be a 2-year lease. Then the tragedy flips. Some do get married. They sign the paper, but because they have spent a decade training themselves to keep one foot out the door, they do not know how to close it. They are married, but they live as if they are single. They keep their finances separate. They maintain backup flirtations on social media. They prioritize their individual hobbies and their alone time over the unit. They are roommates with a certificate. The sacredness of the bond is gone, replaced by a contractual arrangement that can be dissolved the moment one party feels unfulfilled. We have managed to ruin both dating and marriage simultaneously. We made dating too heavy by adding domestic burdens, and we made marriage too light by removing the sacrificial vows. We want the milk without the cow, and then when we buy the cow, we complain that we cannot date other livestock. It is a profound immaturity. It is a refusal to accept that every choice requires the death of other options. This brings us to the ultimate perversion of love, which is the elevation of the pet and the abandonment of the parent. Birthdays for pets are organized with fanfare, while the birthdays of parents are ignored. This is not just a quirk of modern behavior. It is a symptom of emotional cowardice. Loving a pet is easy. A dog does not judge you. A dog does not have political opinions you disagree with. A dog does not tell you that you are drinking too much or that you need to get a better job. A dog is a vessel for pure, unchallenging validation. You buy it a cake, and you put a hat on it, and you take a picture, and you feel like a good parent. It rewards you instantly with a wagging tail. It is a transaction where you buy love with food. Loving a parent is hard. Parents are complicated humans. They have expectations. They have flaws. They grow old and sick and needy. They remind you of your own mortality. To organize a birthday for a parent requires effort and conversation, and perhaps dealing with decades of emotional baggage. So we choose the path of least resistance. We throw a party for the creature that cannot speak, and we send a text message to the people who taught us to speak. We are busy, we have things to do, but we have 3 hours to bake a gluten-free cake for a golden retriever. We allocate our emotional resources to the investments that give us the highest return for the lowest risk. The pet is a safe investment. The parent is a high-risk and high-maintenance emotional obligation. This reveals a society that is terrified of complex human connection. We prefer the simplified, cartoonish love of a beast to the messy, demanding love of a family. We are not just animal lovers. We are human avoiders. We hide behind the fur of our pets to avoid looking into the eyes of the people who gave us life. And when do we finally look at them? When do we finally dial the number? When we run out of money. The text describes the final brutal transaction where the child only calls dad or mom when they are broke. The parent is reduced to an automated teller machine. The relationship is dormant until there is a financial crisis. This is the commodification of blood. We have raised a generation that views independence as a right, but dependence as a fallback plan that they are entitled to. They do not call to ask how the parent is doing. They call to ask if the parent can help. The terrifying part is that the parents often allow it because it is the only time the phone rings. They pay the ransom for a few minutes of connection. The child leverages their own failure to extract resources from the old. It is a hostage situation disguised as family. The holiday visit becomes a performance review where the child shows up to renew the subscription to the parental bank account. The warmth is gone, the reverence is gone. What remains is a cold utilitarian exchange. The child eats the food and takes the envelope and disappears back into their busy life of dressing up dogs and eating fake meat, leaving the old to wait for the next crisis to bring them back. This is the portrait of a society that has lost its soul. It is a place where the most basic instincts to eat good food and protect your body and honor your elders have been rewired into a grotesque parody of life. We are actors in a bad play, reciting lines that make no sense, wearing costumes that do not fit, and ignoring the only people in the audience who actually care about us. To understand the depth of this moral confusion, we must look closer at the fake goods phenomenon mentioned in the text. It is not just about counterfeit purses, it is about the counterfeit self. In a culture where the real loses to the fake, we see the rise of the curated persona. The person you meet online is a fabrication. They are happier and richer and more moral than the actual human being typing on the keyboard. We have accepted that the avatar is the reality. When a person is honest or simple, they are viewed as boring or stupid. Why did you not edit that? Why did you not use a filter? Why did you admit you failed? Honesty is seen as a lack of strategic intelligence. The rogue, or the scoundrel, is viewed as smart because he knows how to game the system. We admire the hacker and the tax dodger and the person who finds the loophole. We look at the honest worker and think that they are a sucker. This erosion of value for the truth destroys trust. And without trust, a society is just a collection of individuals trying to pick the pockets of their neighbors. We assume everyone is lying, so we lie too just to stay competitive. It is an arms race of deception. And in this race, the goods, whether they are products or people, become progressively worse. We get better at packaging garbage, but the garbage is still garbage. We have shiny exteriors and rotten interiors. We have a gross domestic product that grows while life expectancy falls. We have more communication tools than ever, but we are lonelier than ever. The fake has won because it is easier to manufacture. Real virtue takes a lifetime to build. Fake virtue takes a tweet. Real quality takes craftsmanship. Fake quality takes a coat of paint. In a fast-paced world, the slow and difficult path of reality cannot compete with the speed of the lie. The obsession with the dog-wearing clothes serves as the perfect distraction from this reality. If we were focused on the fact that we are being fed poison and working until we die while our parents sit lonely in empty houses, we might revolt. We might change things. So we are given toys. We are given the fur baby. The energy that should go into revolution or community building is diverted into finding the perfect Halloween costume for a pug. It absorbs our nurturing capacity. Humans have a finite amount of care to give. If you spend it all on an animal, there is none left for your neighbor or your parent or your society. The pet economy is a massive sinkhole for human empathy. It takes love, which is the most powerful force we have, and directs it toward a creature that exists outside of the moral universe. A dog cannot carry on your legacy. A dog cannot care for you when you are old, except to comfort you. A dog cannot build a civilization. By encouraging the youth to treat pets as children, the system ensures that the next generation of humans is smaller and more isolated and less capable of challenging the status quo. It is a sterilization of the future wrapped in a cute furry package. We are breeding dogs and neutering our own future. We are dressing the dog to look like a person while we strip the person of their humanity, leaving them as nothing more than a consumer of cheap meat and a poster of fake photos. Consider the generational betrayal mentioned, where the old strive while the young play. This creates a resentment that sits like a bomb beneath the floorboards of the culture. The old look at the young with contempt. They see softness. They see entitlement. They see a generation that cannot change a tire or cook a meal without an application on their phone. The young look at the old with rage. They see the people who ruined the planet. They see the people who bought houses for $30,000 that are now worth $1 million. They see the hoarders of wealth. This mutual animosity destroys the continuity of wisdom. In a healthy society, the old teach the young how to survive. In our inverted society, the old are out of touch and the young are useless. There is no transfer of knowledge. The old take their skills to the grave. The young reinvent the wheel, but they reinvent it as a square because they learned physics from a short video clip. The striving of the old is tragic because it is solitary. They are not striving for the young anymore. They are striving despite them. They are working to pay for their own care because they know the children will not be there. And the playing of the young is tragic because it is a dance on the edge of a cliff. They are playing because they feel the game is rigged, so why bother trying? Why work when I cannot buy a house anyway? Why save when inflation eats it? So they eat and they play and they dress the dog. It is a nihilistic hedonism born of despair. The breakdown of the marriage contract is the final nail in the coffin of stability. When you live as if married without the vow, you are training yourself to view people as interchangeable parts. You are practicing divorce every day. You are learning that intimacy is something you can slide in and out of like a rental car. This rewires the brain. It makes true commitment feel like a prison. When these people finally do marry, they panic. The door is locked, and they do not know how to sit still in the room. They lash out, they cheat, they live as if single to regain that sense of control. They treat their spouse as an accessory to their life rather than the foundation of it, my money, my time, my career. The we never forms. This creates a society of atomized individuals who happen to share beds. They are lonely together. They are two ghosts, haunting the same house, scrolling on separate phones, dreaming of separate lives, while the wedding ring sits on the finger like a piece of costume jewelry. Fake gold for a fake bond. This brings us to the ultimate realization. The world turned upside down is not an accident. It is a product of a culture that values the immediate over the eternal, and the appearance over the substance, and the self over the other. The poor eat meat because it is cheap right now. The dog wears clothes because it looks cute right now. The fake goods win because they sell right now. The young play because it feels good right now. Every pathology in the text is a triumph of short-term impulse over long-term well-being. We have become a society of toddlers grabbing at the shiny object and eating the candy and screaming when our stomach hurts, only to call mom and dad to fix it when the bill comes due. But mom and dad are tired. Mom and dad are broke. And eventually, mom and dad will be gone. And then we will be left alone in a house full of dressed-up dogs and fake handbags and rotisserie chickens, wondering why we are so hungry and so cold and so incredibly empty. The inversion is complete. We have everything we wanted, and we have nothing that matters.